Good evening, Instagram. How's everyone doing tonight? Welcome to On the Ring Apron, episode 3. I'm Steve.
And Kia.
And hey, first of all, thank you to everyone who decided to wish a certain person on this panel a happy birthday. Spoiler alert, it's not me.
Who?
Who? Absolutely. Kia, first of all, happy birthday. I love you, hun.
Thank you.
And everybody who took the time to wish her a happy birthday, thank you very much. We appreciate you guys taking the time to wish her, a very special day. A little bit more on that a little bit later in the show, but we've got much to discuss as all that's happened throughout this week as we continue to push towards Wrestlemania, or are we? I guess we'll talk more about it. But first thing I want to do, we screwed up at the end of last week. We were supposed to talk about Finn Balor on NXT. We didn't, so we are repping him tonight. Classic Finn Balor shirts. Come on, we named the middle name of our son after the man, so we got to do better about that.
Yeah, we do.
Cassius Balor Knoll. Yes, that is really his name. He will be introduced to him at some point on this show. I'm sure he's going to appear here at one of these episodes. So, if you want to see him, hashtag Cassius. Reply back. Spelled with a K. But anyway, we saw two very different shows as we went through our week. We went to Monday Night Raw, which, kind of was more of the same that we've been seeing. A lot of replay matches, not really much in terms of actual matches, just a lot of storyline building. But then you flip over to NXT, where you saw pretty much the exact opposite, where basically they went live match after live match after live match, really kind of setting the tone of getting things back to normal in terms of, how the NXT show is going to go. And so it was a very nice change up to see finally some wrestling on TV.
Yeah, it was.
So we have the quick Raw recap. Kia's going to provide us with the Raw recap real fast.
Oh yeah, thank you. Obviously y'all know that we saw the 2015 Royal Rumble, the triple threat with Cena, Seth, and also Brock. There's really not much to say besides in my opinion, honestly, Brock didn't need to be champion, didn't need to actually be in the match, and you know what, take it as bias because I love Cena and I love Seth, so I feel like it should have just been them two, but hey, what do I know, Vince is going to make the matches, so... Brock's
his cash cow, he's been for quite some time.
Yeah, but what about Cena?
Well, Cena was before Brock, and then Cena decided he was going to go in. Birthday wish.
Thank you!
They took the time to re-show the triple threat. Honestly, in my opinion, one of the better triple threats we've had in probably the last, 5-10 years or so. Of course, that's debatable. But, you want to make sure that, they had time. Again, you can't fit a 3-hour Raw when you're working with a skeleton crew of a roster.
You really can't. Another thing that kind of disappointed me, you figured AJ Styles would kind of have learned from Randy Orton not to talk trash about someone's wife. Obviously, as much as I love AJ, I feel like that's disrespectful in any aspect.
Our Georgia boy is stupid. AJ, hush.
I feel like, you saw Randy Orton doing it. So if you didn't learn anything from that, then why are you doing it? It doesn't make no sense. Learn from Randy Orton's mistake. Learn that you can never talk about a man's wife or children or house or money and think you get away with it. To me, I'm a fan of The Undertaker. I wasn't when I first started, but first of all, you never, ever on any sort of thing talk about the dead man and his wife. That's a big no-no.
You shouldn't be talking about anyone's wife, but especially not someone who's, got the clout he does.
But someone who's been a veteran, someone who knows the ins and outs, someone who loves this business and this company and is willing to, at his age, come back to help what's going on right now. Every year you figured, okay, he's going to retire, he's going to be done. But he finds it in him to work out, get prepared, get ready, eat right, eat healthy. I've actually seen his routine on former social media. He gets prepared to actually come back and put on the match, thinking it might be his last. But don't ever, AJ, never, ever, ever, ever talk about a man's wife.
Mm-hmm. And, it's just, with them having a very little time and very, obviously they're trying to protect who they can, it's tough to, be able to try to set up a match. When you don't have the ability to have some tag team matches or, some setup matches to really kind of set the tone. This WrestleMania, at least from the Raw side, is really kind of just storytelling all the way up until the matches. More on that in a little bit, but let's go finish up Raw here.
From what I heard, I don't know if I spaced out. I don't know if I was asleep. I don't know. You might as well ask Steven. Truth became the 35th.
My boy, 35 5-time 24/7 champion. 35! The man's the GOAT. Put him in the Hall of Fame now.
I wouldn't say all that, but I think...
Please.
You know what? Is this for you getting back at me for all the other times I've...
Yes.
Whatever. My birthday. Either way, 35 times. That is very excellent. Honestly, he in my opinion, he's entertaining. He's good at wrestling. He's good on the mic. I feel like he should continue to hold it as long as he can. And the fact that he comes up with humorous ways to win it back in the trunk of a car. Why are you in the trunk of a car?
What did he got to do? And then stole the car afterwards.
Exactly.
Did what he had to do.
The interview with Shayna, what did you think about that?
The woman is intimidating, and I'm not even the one sitting in the ring. I'm sitting there like, oh my God, Charlie, get out of there, get out of there, get out of there. You know, because the woman is just naturally intimidating. And, you know, I see one follower, Stephanie, in there, and, you know, she may be the only person who is excited about Shayna Baszler going on to potentially win the Raw Women's Championship because she has followed her straight through NXT. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see because, again, in front of no crowd, you know, how are they going to play this? Do you hold off on the big switch until you have a crowd?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you, you know, potentially, you know, go ahead and put it on Shayna because there's no crowd to boo her? So this is another one. We've talked on previous episodes about Rhea and Charlotte. This is one that could go either way. More birthday wishes.
Thank you, everybody. Love you, too. Mwah,
Balor
mwah.
shirts. That's right. All day. Again, we screwed up last week. We forgot to talk about him, so we got to represent this week. We should have put the standee behind us.
You mean you forgot? Don't keep throwing me in the same boat with you.
Why do you think you're running the preview this week?
You forgot.
Let's finish up Raw.
My thing is, the whole thing, let's stick with the whole Shayna thing, the whole interview. What did you feel about the whole silent Becky Lynch invasion? My girl. Don't get me wrong, I like Shayna, I really do. I give her props, every prop in the world. But Becky, you do not mess with an Irish lass.
What we've learned though about Shayna is her weakness is apparently a shot to the chair in the back. Bayley pulled this right before Survivor Series back in November. So you know, if you can, you know, just find a way to get behind her, hit her with a chair, you can take her out. But otherwise, you're probably in some trouble.
I feel like Becky honestly is probably the best person to go one-on-one with her, minus, you know, probably one of her 3 horsewomen that probably would go against her. But, you know, that might be a story for another time. Hint, hint. I feel with that being said, I'm looking forward to it with everything that's going on and everyone kind of, you know, what we believe to be like kind of leaving for safety reasons, dropping out. I'm hoping that match still sticks. That's the one I'm looking forward to. I don't know about you, but that's the one I'm looking forward to.
We're leaving plenty of time to discuss that. But the other thing that happened to kind of wrap up Raw, you had the Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens segment where basically Seth is now choosing to take the next step from Messiah to now God.
He's got this whole complex going. He's like first he's the architect. And then now he's like, what, the Messiah, the Monday Night Messiah. Wait, CrossFit Jesus. Let's not forget that one. Daniel Bryan gave him that one.
That one's for her. I mean,
and then on top of that,
his body is not CrossFit.
And then on top of that, Monday Night Messiah, now a God complex. Who does he think he is? He's not no God.
With all due respect, I mean, look at his WrestleMania record. The man has 1 loss at Mania, and he cashed in later that night. So really, yeah, he lost that match, and it still led to one of the most classic moments with a drop-up RKO. You know, the man's got the record and the clout at Mania to back it up, while Owens doesn't.
Okay, first of all, nothing against Owens. Even with a good record, he is not God. Just let's go ahead
You
and
said wrestling God, not
no,
the God.
No,
Good Lord, we're not going into that.
No wrestling God. No, let's just no. Either way, I'm not going to even get into it. No.
And then it also wrapped it up with trying to set up the tag team title match. Street Profits getting a squash match. And then an interesting twist. You've got Andrade and Angel Garza going in. I don't know what happened at the end of that that match with Cedric getting a nice pop to the chin and taking what was a very bad pinfall. If you haven't seen it, go back to YouTube and watch the pinfall.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know, unfortunately, an injury happening in that match. We'll get more to that as we start our road into the final week of WrestleMania.
Yep.
So then we leave Raw and we end up moving into NXT, where, as I said earlier, it was a polar opposite. You know, NXT decided, you know what, we're back to normal again. Yes, we're in front of an empty crowd, and granted, they got to do it at Full Sail, not at the Performance Center. But you know, basically got back to work. You started building back up, you know, the storylines with, Adam Cole and Velveteen Dream, with them kind of trading some shots at each other. Adam Cole, with a very nice statement about, he's now the longest reigning NXT champion. Congrats. Baby. But, you continue to build up the storyline. You now have the new team that's come in, and it looks like they're going to be the ones gunning for Dunn and Riddle.
The Broserweights.
Yes. So, who is this team? You've got, of course, Malcolm Blivens, managing them. How are they going to work with them? And are they going to be very similar to maybe like an AOP or something when they first made their debut? Of course, the storyline continues with the North American title, Keith Lee, Dijakovic, and now you add in, oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Who's the Arrow dude?
I can't remember his name. Oh god.
Someone's going to spit it in the chat here for us in a second. But either way, Arrow guy. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a complete blank. This is what happens when you don't have your notes right in front of you.
Yeah.
But, leading to a triple threat, Dijakovic and Keith Lee themselves have put on great matches.
Yeah.
And when you see storylines like this, a lot of times it ends up being the third person that ends up being the one to kind of net everything in the chaos. So we'll see how it goes. And then you got into SmackDown tonight. A nice segment to open the show with the 5 women that are going to be in the SmackDown Women's title match. Naomi with a wicked burn of Sasha's wig. So we'll see how that ends up turning out. But suffice to say, I like that one.
Not so much for me. You got Sasha and Naomi, and Sasha works hard on her look. We've seen it every week that she's come out to the ring, every week that she's been for meet and greets, just everywhere she has worked hard on her looks, her makeup, her hair, and the clothes. So I feel like that wasn't cool on Naomi's part.
Absolutely, but Naomi coming out looking like a ray of sunshine. Lacey Evans, who for the record has probably been practicing social distancing her entire life, just
back up,
nasties. But she's more than ready for it. And then you get Tamina, who in a very quick segment, actions are louder than words, super kicks 2 of them, the heels get away. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. There's a lot of different ways this can go. You've got the potential Bayley-Sasha setup.
Yeah.
All 3 members of former Team Bad all in this match. Do you maybe see a temporary alliance with the 3 of them potentially working their way back? A great one of the matchups where there's a lot of people, especially with it being elimination, a chance for the women to kind of shine.
Let's talk about the whole Sasha coming out, her intro, and then Bayley coming out, and then you had Bayley who had the belt, and if you noticed, Sasha gave the belt a look. Not Bayley, but the belt. So I feel like, honestly, if this is going to happen, I feel like at this point, Sasha is deserving. Quit putting it on the back burner. We want to see best friend against best friend, or we want to see superstar against superstar. Let this happen. I would be okay if she wins. If she can't win, then I would like Naomi and then Lacey.
Right. Basically for you, anyone but Bayley.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sorry, Savannah.
Mm-hmm.
But, we go into that, so that match is pretty well set up.
Yeah.
They replayed the main event from 32, Roman Reigns, Triple H, one of the better matches. Just a quick note here, and I'm curious to see if anyone agrees with me. If you had told Triple H, let's go back 10 years ago, if you had told Triple H, even in his heyday, that he'd be in his mid-40s, as WWE champion, still main eventing WrestleMania, while at the same time trying to perform his in-office duties, I think even he would have said that's absolutely nuts. To me, the man is an absolute freak of nature when it comes to being able to keep himself in shape, and he's managed to transition well into the office setup.
Yeah.
I think it's a fantastic job he's done, and you know what? He's a guy that's willing to step in and do what he does what he needs to do for the best of the company. He knows what the future holds. And that's the reason why NXT continues to run, like the beast that it is.
I feel like they shine. I feel like you have to have a person like Triple H who's willing to do what he has to do. When I first started watching, he had long hair, but we had people saying, you got to cut your hair, you got to go into it, you got to look businessy, and as much as I would have hated it, he did it.
That's why I don't grow mine out.
Only because he loves his business and he knows what's best for the business, so he knows what's best for himself. So in my opinion, no, I don't think 10 years ago, I would have seen 2 different sides of Triple H. But hey, he's making it work. Heaven forbid, making it work.
And then 2 other matches officially getting put on the WrestleMania card. I guess technically 3. You finally get Otis and Dolph officially on the card. Damian Priest, thank you,
Stephanie.
I knew
Thank
Stephanie
you.
would step in and say it. Someone finally said it. It was Damian Priest was Arrow guy earlier. Thank you. That's what happens when we draw a blank. And of course that means he'll win.
I've got an excuse. I'm getting older. I don't know about you.
Today you can say those words. That's absolutely true. But you end up looking at everything, but you get Otis and Dolph officially on the card. Mandy, you can tell she's starting to be like, okay, Dolph, what are you doing? Why are you being an asshole?
It's becoming too much.
Right.
She's
And
not...
we'll see. We'll see if Otis gets his moment, or does Dolph end up, ultimately getting the last laugh to end this story.
My thing with that, let me cut you off here. My thing with that is when she said, I feel like Dolph, this is too much. I'm not a prize. In my opinion, I feel like she's come a long way.
Oh yeah.
Unlike one other person I will not mention, but I feel like she's come a long way and she's done what she needed to do, and she's actually trying to make herself irreplaceable. My thing is, when they finally walked off and they were going for wine, do you think Otis was behind any of the back scenes? I think a presence was felt in the back. At least I felt it. I think he was back there, or someone like Tucker was back there listening.
And we'll have to see if if that ends up being the case. But it's pretty certain that it probably is. Someone asked us about the flashing light that's directly behind Kia. That's actually our ceiling fan that is reflecting off of our belts case behind us. So but it does look like Ali's. So we'll totally change our answer and say, hey, it's totally Ali's flashing lights that's ringing behind us. Yeah, we have that kind of money. No, we don't. But anyway, 2 other matches getting set up. Drew Gulak pulling, I guess, the upset of Shinsuke Nakamura to grant Daniel Bryan his Intercontinental title match against Sami Zayn. Mm-hmm. And also now the Miz and Morrison interfering with the Usos and the New Day. You kind of saw that one coming. To now make it a triple threat, and not just a triple threat, but a ladder match. And that's just a match that is going to get built in favor of really either team. Honestly, I think the Usos would thrive in a match like this, but Miz and Morrison, crafty, we'll see.
That's exactly what I was about to ask. For the audience, I want to hear your response. Who do you think would be the most dangerous tag team for this match? Do you think it would be the Usos? Do you think it would be Miz and Morrison? Or do you think it would be the New Day? So let us know in your comments who you think would be the most controversial, the one that would be able to thrive off this. You said the Usos.
I would go with the Usos.
I honestly feel it'd be Miz and Morrison. Again, they are making the men's tag team something that you cannot forget. Unlike the women, but that's another topic for another time.
So we end up going through all of this, and there you can tell, with what they have available, they're trying to put out the best show possible, but it's the same thing when it comes to trying to get themselves ready for WrestleMania. I'm seeing the comment down below. Apparently, I misheard the light comment.
The light glitch that happened before Elias.
Oh, that's been a promo for a forthcoming superstar. They've actually been running that for a couple of weeks now. Not again. And I'm glad that actually was brought up because it was leading into the next segment I was going to talk about. It's almost impossible for us, especially this time of year, to duck spoilers. One thing about our show, we're not going to be a dirt sheet show.
No.
We are only going to talk about things that have been officially announced. So, yes, we have, unfortunately, it's impossible to avoid them. Yes, we have heard about people potentially, again, nothing confirmed, not showing up for the tapings of WrestleMania earlier this week. I've blocked every hashtag of WrestleMania that I can think of to make sure that I don't get them, but unfortunately they still find a way around.
Yeah,
I don't know what to make of that. I find it hard to believe that they would still be promoting, all of these matches and and whatnot, and still promoting, like Reigns Goldberg, the triple threat match, all of these matches, if supposedly all of these people had dropped out.
We'll have to sit here and wait and see. Honestly, I feel like if the show's going to go on, I feel like it's kind of a distracting factor. Someone behind the curtains, might have said that, or might have been putting that out there, might have been putting that worm in everybody's ear. But when the day finally comes, I believe that would have just been a distraction to get us thrown off. That way we can't really sit here and say, what the spoilers, I didn't hear about that. So,
when you end up starting to see the list, and again, you guys choose if you want to go look it up. If you want to look up who's who's all part of the list. Some of you know who it is, who they are already. Others don't. We're not divulging it here. You can go look it up yourself because we're not spoiling anything here. But when you end up looking at the list, I mean, if it's true, you've lost 2/3 of your WrestleMania. You know, it's impossible to have a pay-per-view if you're only going to have 5 or 6 matches.
All I'm going to say is...
Not at Mania, anyway.
All I'm going to say is, if that is the case, and a lot of people are stepping back, I feel like it's in their best interest to watch out for themselves, because honestly, they have to go home to families who have kids, and if you catch it, then you have to isolate yourself from your family. So, with that being said, with us being parents, I would prefer them being safe and sound and backing away. And I know that's just my opinion, but people who have compromised immune systems from the, being too old or with cancer or with diabetes, I feel like that might be the best thing for them.
Well, at the end, you can't give up the next 10 WrestleManias because you want to appear in this one. So you have people that are going to have to make a tough choice. And for some people, WrestleMania is their biggest payday of the year. Mm-hmm. Maybe not so much this year because of the lack of the crowd. But at the end of the day, they've got to do what's best for them. So we're going to see, the more news I keep hearing about, the more I sit here and I do wonder how much of it is legit, how much of this is just somebody blowing smoke.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, until they say otherwise, WrestleMania is still a go. They're still promoting matches. So, it is what it is. But something that we asked you guys on our video and promoted it throughout the week, we wanted you guys to present us with topics. So we're going to hopefully be able to continue to keep doing this now that we're starting to get a bit of a following. We want you guys to present us with topics that you would like us to talk about. Now, again, I didn't explain the rules ahead of time, so the rules kind of don't go into effect until next week. But again, we're not discussing dirt sheet information. It's got to be something that WWE has confirmed or is, expected to happen, not something that we don't know yet. But that will take effect next week. So Kia's got a couple of topics here that we're going to go over. We're going to hit a couple of them. Again, we get a lot of them. We appreciate everybody who's doing it. We want you to keep doing it.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, obviously, we don't have time to hit them all. We'll get through as many as we can and go from there. So Kia, hit us with some.
Alicia Stewart was asking, Drew winning the title from Brock so he can no longer be a champ and the title can come back into contention.
It's the same thing with Brock every single time. Brock is a part-time champion, very similar to, unfortunately, Goldberg is doing the same thing with the Universal, although I guess you could argue that everybody is a part-time champion right now. The only person who's shown up every single week, seemingly, is Becky.
Yeah.
But, Brock is a person that during, normal time frame will take the title, and then he'll just disappear for a couple of months until, he's paid to come back at the big pay-per-view. So, Drew winning the championship would go a long way because it puts the title back on the show every single night. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be defended anymore, but it is.
But honestly, with you saying you don't think it would be defended, I feel like Drew is the best person. You have to think. He won it at the Royal Rumble. I feel like he's most deserving because he's been waiting a while, and I feel like he is a fighting champion. We've seen him be a fighting champion without even working for a title. So with that being said, if that title gets put on him, when he wins it, because he will, in my opinion, he will win it, and he will take it off of Brock, and he will come in and he will defend it every week.
Again, at least it's going to be there. That's been the biggest problem is, they talked about, the Brock is holding the title and then he's not even on the show. I'd like to note that Brock has shown up for every live show this calendar year up to this point. So, that's not a prediction. That's a spoiler. That's a fact.
He finally did something right. I mean, nothing against, it's your job. It's your job. Your ass needs to show up. You don't skip work, do you?
Oh, I can. I just won't have a job much longer.
He don't need to skip work
Somebody's
either.
got to pay for all of this.
He don't need to skip work either. And I'm sorry for the people who love Brock. Show up every week.
Either way, I do agree, though. I mean, Drew winning the championship is fine. I think the only question comes down to, are they prepared to put the title on Drew in front of an empty arena where you're not going to have fans? And it's not like after Mania, all of a sudden the fans are going to reappear, I mean, this is going to be going on for at least minimum another month and a half to 2 months. Are they prepared to pull the trigger on him now, or do they hold off to where he can have a bigger moment? What else we got?
Misty Thompson.
Let you figure it.
Misty Thompson asked if we had to be the writers, what stories would we want to see change? What stories would we want to improve on? What stories would we want to see go away? Who would we like to see as heels and faces and so forth and so on? So she had a fully loaded question.
Well, that's a long way to go, and we could have an entire episode devoted just to that. The only thing I'm going to say, at least from my stories, Naomi is champion forever. Just she wins the title, she beats everybody, nobody's beating her. Bianca may take it from her once, but Naomi champion, glow belt forever. That's really the only one I can come up with off the top of my head.
But we can't forget Sasha and Lacey.
That's fine. They can be contenders all the time. We'll continue to keep rotating them out. Naomi and Sasha can have a great trilogy of matches over the years, but Naomi champion forever.
Honestly, and I know this is going to sound some type of way, but I feel like if you're a part-timer, that's exactly what you are. Don't come in and don't sit here and win the title, and then you don't do nothing more with it and you run off. Nothing against Goldberg, nothing against Brock. I'm just saying, leave it to the people that are here every week, such as Drew, such as Naomi, such as Sasha, such as Bailey. God, that hurt so bad. Sorry, Savannah. Just leave it to the people that are here every single week. Don't have part-timers come in and take what I feel belongs to them.
Well, the argument's going to be that you hear people crapping on Brock for being a part-timer, and yet John Cena's doing the exact same thing, and you don't hear that same crap for him. Both have put in the time. Both have put in the championships. Both served the years in the business. Cena just a little bit higher up, a little more fan-friendly over the years. But I kind of do agree with that. The part-timers, need to make sure that they are not hogging the spotlight of the people that are working hard to get it. The only other thing I would potentially change, I joked about Naomi, but in the end, the people that are the company people, names I'm going to mention, Miz,
Yes.
Cesaro,
Yes.
Sami Zayn has been doing it, and finally it seems like he's getting his just reward.
Kofi.
Kofi Kingston got his, absolutely the storyline he's been begging for. These are guys that are company guys. Where do you need me? What do you need me to do? Do you need me to win tonight? Do you need me to lose tonight?
Do you need me to put someone over?
Right. Do you need me to go do a book signing in India? What do you need me to do? Whatever you need. I'm out of bed and I'm there on the first flight, ready to do whatever it needs. These are company guys that have been there. You never hear about them ever missing work. You never hear about them showing up late. You never hear about them missing a meeting. They're there. They're front and center. They're not the biggest names in the business, but you know what? They're respected. These are guys, because I firmly believe Kofi Kingston, Miz, right now, if their careers ended today, they're both Hall of Famers. Cesaro, I think he's almost there. I think he needs one more, and he needs that world title, I think, right now in order to get it. That's something Miz and Kofi have that Cesaro doesn't. And then you see people in the women's division. She's not necessarily my fan favorite, but you see people like Natalya, company person. Every time a new NXT name comes up, it's always usually Natalya that's standing there waiting for them at the door, and she's the one that puts them over as a big name. I may not necessarily be the biggest fan of her, but the fact is she does what the company needs her to do, and that's why ultimately Natty's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
But I feel like you need a veteran presence. I feel like you need that person who can say, I've been in this business. I know what to do. I know the ins. I know the outs. I know the everything. If you need anything, I'm here. You've heard that on if you watch Total Divas, you've heard her. If you need me, I'm here. You've got my number. You just get in touch with me.
Got time for one more.
The next question comes from Landon Corvin, who is again a Sasha fan. He wants to know why is the women's tag team championships being put on the back burner? They have tag teams such as Fire and Desire, and then the Iconics, and then you have people like Dakota and like probably whoever Tegan, who could come up and who could actually play a role in all this. Well, he feels like that
Another thing that we could devote an entire episode to is just the women's tag team division. That has been one of the more frustrating things, and that's not something that's just started now. That is something that is relatively, been there really since the beginning. They brought in the women's tag titles a little over a year ago. Of course, put them on Boss and Hug Connection. Not unexpected. I think they needed that clout. But then you dropped them immediately to the Iconics, and really since the Iconics took the titles at Mania last year, the women's tag team titles have kind of gone to the wayside. That's not to say that they haven't had some decent matches when they're actually in the forefront. And now especially more than ever when you're working with a skeleton crew of, your women's division, which is thinning out, because you're trying to run all these different single storylines. It really has taken a back seat because you've taken some of your top contenders, like you said, Fire and Desire, but you've put them in a story that has nothing to do with it. You've had Bayley as your SmackDown champion for months, and, they want to continue with that storyline that they're going to continue to be in singles action. So I really feel like it was a situation where they've kind of thrust, Alexa and Nikki in because you really didn't have anyone else.
But my thing and my take on this is I agree with Landon. You don't really need to be putting these women on the back burner. I get it. The Iconics didn't, they weren't fighting champions, but you have to think about why weren't they? Was it because Vince didn't want them to, or was it because they generally, they had the titles put on them, but they weren't ready for that? I feel like honestly, Alexa and Nikki, they're great together. But my thing is, I want to know Mandy and Sonya. Why not? Like I said,
Sonya to me is the most underused and over. She is the one person that's sitting in that locker room that has all the tools you're looking for, and yet for some reason they won't pull the trigger.
I feel like you could put Fire and Desire in it like that. I feel like you could put the Iconics. I feel like you could put, Kairi and Asuka. I feel like you could put Naomi and Sasha together, or Naomi and Bayley. Excuse me, or if you want to see tag teams, Naomi and Bianca, bring Bianca up. Give her something to do. I mean, I feel like honestly she is just as bad as all the other women. Give her a spot.
And you've got tag teams that are down in NXT that easily could come up here at the same time. You could have you could mix up like Xia Li and Io Shirai.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, glad she's back. I'm glad she's back.
Absolutely. And that women's tag team match getting ready to come up, but we're gonna have more on that on an upcoming episode. One other topic that was brought up, this is the only one that I kind of wanted to lead the way because anybody who has followed me on my Twitter, my personal one, has known that one of the questions we were asked was, how can you fix this situation with, not necessarily people walking out on the company potentially, but just an overall fix to, the fan boredom, these boring storylines sometimes. And something that I have been promoting for quite some time, and I'm curious to get your thoughts, so please provide us with your comments, both here and also after the show, because again, these conversations will continue forward, is potentially starting a WWE offseason. Every other sport on the planet, football, basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, I mean, you name it, they all have off seasons, periods of time where the athletes get a chance to go home, go see their families, go rest physically, go rest mentally. And and that's such a big thing now in today's world where mentally people aren't getting the opportunity to to really rest themselves. I firmly believe that there is an easy fix to this, and if there was ever a time to pull it, it's this year.
But
you could have. Well, go ahead.
But look at the fact, and I'm going to take Sasha as a prime example. One of the most baddest women on the roster, and she left for her own reasons, but they're her personal reasons. And she said in her 24 in the show that was on the network, $9.99 by the way, that she left because she didn't feel like she was wanted, or she didn't feel like she was needed, or she felt like she was being bullied, and it's just all this. When you have someone like that, when you're on the road, as much as these superstars are, it gets to be mentally, physically draining. Looking at them, they're tired, and they're always on the road, and they're always traveling, and it's just like it's a never-ending thing.
Well, they talk about having spending 300 plus days away from home. I mean, no one can realistically be expected to spend that much time away from your significant other and your children without it having some type of long-term effect. These people are getting burned out, and it wasn't just Sasha this year that took 4 months off after Mania. Naomi took a lot of time off because she had personal things she needed to deal with. And you've seen other wrestlers that have needed to walk away. Roman Reigns, obviously, no commentary needed. We know why he left for most definitely personal reasons, both physically and mentally. But the implementation of an off-season, you go to WrestleMania, you have the Raw after, you make the Raw after Mania kind of like a fan fest match, a fan fest show where you have maybe a surprise title change, if you want to, but you make it all about the fans that have supported you all year. You can end it on either a great moment with a good face in the final match of the night, or maybe you end it on a cliffhanger where maybe one of your big names gets injured and it has to be carted out or something to where people are able to do it, and then you take about 2 months and you shut everything off. You wash the board clean, new storylines, you can erase every storyline, erase everything else. Anybody who sits here, the initial thing that I remember getting as pushback was, well, Raw and SmackDown have this, this thing where they want, the matches to, this continuing streak of, episodic episodes. I'm not telling you to stop Raw and SmackDown, but you know what, for those 6 to 8 weeks, you show like the best Raws of the year, or you show the best SmackDowns of the year. You've just seen it over the last few weeks that they can fill a Raw by re-showing pay-per-view matches. You know, you will still get fans in there that you can recap what has happened over the last year and, you know, kind of almost have like a 365 with a whole bunch of different people over the course of 6 or 7 weeks.
Yeah,
but it lets everybody recharge. Go get those nagging injuries that you know they wrestled through trying to get ready for Mania because they wanted that Mania moment. You know, you let them go home, let them see their family, let them see their kids, let them spend time, and then right about maybe start of June, start things back up. First Monday in June, back to Raw, and let's start things back up again. I really think that's something that they need to consider, especially this year more than ever.
But how many superstars have we seen over, not just this year, last year, but all the years that look like, you know, they're tired and they're burnt out and they need time and this and this and this. And then when they finally get that time, even if they say, okay, I'm going to step down, I'm going to back away, or Vince or whatever, send them off, how many of you seen them have backed away and have come back better than ever?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you need perfect examples, look at Seth, look at Roman, look at Sasha, look at Bayley, look at Naomi, Becky Lynch when she needed to step away for a little while. Anybody, you know, because it's amazing how just a little bit of time away, and that's not just for wrestlers, I mean, that's for anybody. Sometimes you just got to say, you know what, the money's great, the traveling's fun, but at some point you just got to, for yourself, walk away for a little bit, get yourself mentally right, come back when you're fresh, come back when you're ready, and I really do think that would go a long way. But, you know, it's, you know, I mean, there's about a million different answers. What do you guys think could potentially be something that WWE could do to help, you know, relieve these months sometimes of, you know, some poor storylines or anything else? Because as much as they want to put it on the wrestlers, and sometimes it is the wrestlers, you know, it is on them, but a lot of times they have to work with the stories or the promos that they're given. So what are your thoughts? Give us some idea. I'm going to slide over here for just a second, but if you would, promote next week. We not only have our normal Friday show, but we also have another show as well.
Oh, yeah, okay, I'm sorry. So, like Steve said, we will be doing a show next Friday at 10:15. We want everyone to tune in. It's tuned in today. Let everyone know, family and friends, to tune in and watch us so we can all talk wrestling. We have, not just this show, but we're actually looking at the fact that we want to, for every pay-per-view, do a prediction show where, you know, me and Steve, as well as you all, predict who you think could be the winners. We've got a couple of names that we've heard, but we want y'all to actually try to come up with a name for the prediction show. And then what we're going to do is we're going to kind of limit them down, and we're going to have y'all choose out of 2 or 3, and then we're going to go with that and kind of go from there. But I will let Steve kind of fill you in case I've missed anything.
No, she hit the nail pretty well on the head. What we're essentially going to do is, as we said earlier, and it's been on the bottom of our videos, we're also going to hold our own special prediction show where we're actually going to go over the entire card for any pay-per-view that's coming up. We're planning on doing it for WWE pay-per-views as well as takeovers for NXT, where we're going to have an opportunity to kind of go over each match, talk about, you know, what we're expecting, and then also make our predictions. Our goal is, you know, we've got a couple of folks that I've kind of reached out to about potentially some guest pickers, some other famous folks within the WWE community, some other of our famous cosplayers, you know, some of our friends, some people that, you know, you're gonna know and recognize right off the bat. We do have a couple of great names out there. But a chance for us to kind of just have one show completely devoted to the pay-per-view where we wrap it all up. Everybody, you know, gets a chance to kind of just give a preview, one match at a time, and then we give our official picks. But we are planning on doing that next week. We will provide more information as to the date and time of that. We haven't decided if we're going to record it or if we're going to do it live. What do you guys want? Do you want to be able to join in live? Because obviously if we're going to do it live, we need people listening in. So do you want to watch it live? And if so, you know, let us know. Otherwise, you know, we may record it and just provide it when it's available. We will still have our live show at 10:15 on Friday as usual as we wrap up the final week leading into WrestleMania, which of course is the following night. But we wanted to thank all of you for joining us, one of our larger crowds of the thing. And to kind of wrap things up, as we said, it's a birthday for someone, so we are going to celebrate correctly.
Can you sing to me, please?
I am not singing on TV. The internet is everything. But maybe y'all can sing. Can y'all throw some comments down at the bottom? But
Ray Bliss, he's getting the couch because he won't sing.
Oh, she put that earlier.
Yeah,
I'm living on the couch.
Yeah.
Either way, this is a wonderful woman. I live with her every day. You know, I obviously have to. But you know, you don't understand the amount of work she does for this. This is something that I've wanted to do for a while, but it's there's no way I could have done this and been able to create this idea without her. So everything she does for me is amazing. So thank you very much. I love you. I'm so excited. She's got red velvet in her mouth. She's in a different world right now. I'm looking at the comments. Everybody's screaming live, live, live. So it looks like we already have our decision. Everybody wants the prediction show to be live. So we'll pick out a time and we will make sure that happens and we'll let you guys know about it. Again, we're not a dirt sheet show. So if we predict it, we're basically going to go with what WWE has on the card officially at the time. If it changes on the day of, sorry, but we're going to run with what we've got. But thank you all for joining us. Thank you for all the wonderful birthday wishes from my lovely wife here. And remember, we still have our cosplay contest out there. We are, I believe, 20 followers away from doing it. So continue to put our name out there because we said if we manage to get to 100 followers by the time that we get to the Saturday or the next Friday show, then we will debut our new cosplays. But we're going to need some help from you guys. We're obviously promoting ourselves as best we can, but we do need your help. We need 20 more followers in order to get there. So continue pushing us, and if we can get to 100 by the time that we get to our Friday episode next week, we will debut it on WrestleMania night. So
thank you for the birthday wish, Boston Hug Connection.
You guys aren't following them. Follow them. They are absolutely fantastic. Some of the best cosplayers. Honestly, they're the ones who got us into this. I'll just be up front with you.
Yeah.
Met them at WrestleMania 34. Wonderful people. If you're not following them, follow them. It's @theboss_hug connection. Savannah, Haley, wonderful people. You hear us talk about them all the time. We're going to have them on here when we talked about guest pickers. They're most definitely on that list. We're going to be seeing them soon. But we've run way over our time. But hey, it's WrestleMania. It's going to happen. Plus, we had something special to celebrate. Thank you, everyone. Continue to be safe out there. Continue to take care of yourselves. And we look forward to seeing you guys. Watch our information. We're going to let you know about our live preview show for WrestleMania. And we will see you guys soon. Take care of yourselves. Have a good night.
Love you. Bye. Thank you again, everyone.